Hey, welcome everybody to our September 2025 meeting of GEG Ohio, the Google Educator Group of Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us either live or if you're watching the recording later, thanks so much for taking the time to do that. A little bit of housekeeping while we kick things off here. First of all, what is GEG Ohio? This is a monthly meeting where we cover the latest news related to Google tools in education, as well as tips and tricks and answer some questions and things like that. Now, it is GEG Ohio, but no matter where you're from, we are glad that you are here. Actually, in the chat, I see a lot of people are sharing where they are from. So please continue to do that. I'm already seeing some international folks. We've got Brazil listed, but as well as, many folks around the U.S. Here's New York, Illinois, Georgia, of course, a lot of Ohio here as well. So please continue to do that in the chat. Say hi, let us know where you're from. Some of the things we talk about in this meeting might be a little more Ohio specific, but just a few things. The majority of this is valuable to anybody who is using Google tools in education. So we welcome you. Thank you so much for being with us. Quick introductions. Hi, my name is Eric Kurtz. I work for the Stark County Educational Service Center, specifically for Spark, the information technology portion of that organization up in Northeast Ohio. And I'm joined today by John. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm John Mansell-Pladel. I am the supervisor of the Professional Learning Group with the Northern Buckeye Education Council, and we're in Northwest Ohio, and we serve about 40 school districts in the Northwest part of the state.
Fantastic. And we do have some other leaders who may join us from time to time. Stephanie Howell, Sarah Kiefer, and Melissa Kincaid. We may even have some of them pop in throughout the meeting here today, just based upon the time that people have available. We totally understand that. That's why there's a number of us who help run this. We also will have special guests coming up a little bit later. So I'm just going to tease that real quick. We actually have some guests from Google. Jen Brown and Katie Blauert are going to be joining us probably a little closer to 1:30 or so. They're going to be talking specifically about the pricing changes related to Google Workspace for education. There have been some questions about that. I figured it would be better to hear from Google directly rather than have me try to do my best version of interpreting all those changes. So we do look forward to Jen and Katie joining us a little bit later and explaining some of that for us. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen in the meeting. So first of all, we do have a resource document that you should see on the screen here right now. I would encourage everybody to access that document during the meeting. I have dropped the link into the chat. I'll do that again. If for any reason you're watching, but you don't have access to the document yet, let me go ahead and put that into the chat. But it also, you can always get to it at our GEG Ohio website, bit.ly/GEG Ohio. And that will take you to our GEG Ohio website. From there, there's a monthly meetings link. If you head over to that, you'll always find our list of our meetings. So for example, here's today, September 30th, and you'll see the agenda link is right there. And of course, in the future, you can get back to these later. So like, for example, last month's, there's the agenda, there's the recorded video, and the ones to come eventually, we'll get those filled in as well each month. So that can always be accessed at bit.ly/GEG Ohio. Now that document, it is editable if you are a member of the GEG Ohio community, which I'll explain in just a moment how to join that community. Otherwise, you can leave comments in the document. And there are certain spots throughout this document where I think it would make a lot of sense to leave some feedback. So for example, there's a section here on upcoming events. If you know of other conferences or webinars or things to share, put them in there, drop them into that section. There's also a show and tell section later down where there's a section for community show and tell. Do you have something really cool to share today? Some neat new tool or a blog post or an opportunity, put it into the community show and tell. There's also a Q&A section. If you've got any questions, feel free to include those, or answers to those questions. You can add those in as well. So please do contribute to the document throughout the session. And of course, you can always just drop questions into the YouTube chat. We'll do our best to keep an eye on that. Now, it looks like Melissa has joined us. Hey, Melissa. John and I did some quick introductions earlier. Why don't you go ahead and do a quick introduction for folks?
Hello, my name is Melissa Kincaid. I am a technology trainer administrator for Cincinnati Public Schools, and I'm excited to be joining today because I love all things Google.
Well, we're so happy to have you here all throughout the session. John and Melissa, please, please, please jump in, add your opinions on things, share your experience, ask questions, whatever the case might be. I am so happy to have you guys here today to share your experience and wisdom and opinions as well. All right. Well, with all of that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to turn off our banner and we're going to just focus on the shared screen. So we're going to disappear off the side here, but we're all still here. Let me get that banner turned off there so we can see the screen a little bit better. Excellent. All right. And we're going to go ahead and dive on into this. So we already took care of our welcome and introductions. Let's move on to important links. The key link I would point out to you here is the sign-in form. You'll see a link here where you can pop open a Google form, fill that out real quick, choose today's meeting date, and submit that form. And what that does is it allows me to send you a certificate of attendance afterwards. Now, even if you're watching this recorded, that's totally fine. You can still fill out that form as long as you watch the meeting, and I will send you that certificate of attendance form sometime between now and the next meeting. Next up, there's a tab here on group updates. I mentioned a little while ago about joining the GEG Ohio Google group. If you're a member of that group, this allows you to communicate with over 1,700 other members all across, well, Ohio, but honestly around the world. Because again, we open this up to anybody. Feel free to join that group so that in between these meetings, if you have a question, a comment, a resource, anything you need to connect with folks, you got a great way to do it. Also, by being a member of that group, that gives you edit rights to this document rather than just comment rights on it. All right, good stuff. Next up, upcoming events. So a lot of things coming up here. We're not going to go into detail on every one of these. I'm just going to mention a couple of things real quick. So I do have 2 webinars coming up that I'm going to be doing. I'm doing a webinar on brisk teaching and a webinar on Enlighten AI. So those are going to be October 7th and October 23rd. They're completely free. I'm doing them at 7 p.m. just because we're trying to pick a time that would work for most time zones across the U.S. I know nothing's ever perfect. There's no perfect time, but hopefully that will work better for folks who are even as far out as Pacific time. If you can't actually attend live, don't worry. Go ahead and register because afterwards, then I'll be sharing out the link to the recording. So go ahead and register even if you don't think you'll be able to attend live. I do have links here. They'll take you out to all the details on those. So if you follow the one for the brisk teaching webinar, it'll take you out to my Control Alt Achieve site where you can read more about the webinar and of course register for it there as well. And then the same thing with Enlighten AI. Now, if you're not familiar with these tools, Brisk is an extension that gives you loads and loads and loads of AI tools to help you create content, provide feedback for students, re-level text, inspect student writing, create custom AI chatbots for students. Phenomenal. And the free version is incredibly robust. And then Enlighten AI, this is one that if you're not familiar with, I've shared about it before, but it's maybe not as well known. It is a wonderful tool for AI-powered grading and feedback on student writing. And again, the free version is incredibly robust on that. Now, I did have a date change on this. If you saw this one earlier, it was going to be October 14th. We pushed it back a little bit to the 23rd just because they have so many new updates rolling out, but they wanted to make sure that they were all rolled out before the webinar. So to give time for those latest updates to come out, we're going to do this on Thursday, October 23rd. But again, if you can't make that date or time, still sign up and you'll get the recording sent to you afterwards. So I've got those webinars coming up, and I know there's lots of others. I don't know if Dan Neeson is on the call at the moment. If not, I know Dan does so many great webinars. through Neonet. So Dan, feel free to add yours in as well, or if somebody has quick access to those, Dan is offering a lot of great AI webinars each month. Beyond that, there's lots of other great things coming up. Maker Ed has their educators forum. So if you do anything with Maker, Makerspace, those kind of things, it's a totally free virtual, almost full day of virtual sessions. That's coming up soon. There's the 4AI Summit up in Eastlake on October 17th. There's the ETLA conference, which I believe most of us will be at. I know I'll be there presenting several sessions. That's the EdTech Leaders of Ohio. That's going to be a great conference. There's another virtual summit coming up, Text Help, who changed their name to Everway recently. They have 2 days of free virtual trainings coming up. A couple of big conferences, FETC, a lot of people do attend that. That's the Future of Education Technology Conference down in Florida. Here's a link to all the sessions that I'm doing at the moment. I think I got about around 11 or so sessions. I'm going to be adding some booth sessions as well to that, but you can check out all the sessions that I'm doing there. And as always, I have that sharing document. So if you are attending FETC, go ahead and pop over to that sharing document and you can start adding your contact information in if you're attending, as well as promoting your sessions, as well as once we know about mixers and meetups, all of those. That's a great way to stay connected with that. A couple things I will mention real quick are some conferences that have calls for proposals that are ending soon. So OETC, the Ohio Education Technology Conference, October 5th is when the call for proposals ends. ISTE, the call for proposal ends on October 6th. And it sounds like for McCall, coming up this year, the call closes later this week as well. So, oh my gosh, we have a lot. I haven't put in my session proposals yet. I've got an awful lot to do. That is what I'm going to be doing all weekend long, is getting all of these turned in. So please do not miss those deadlines. October 5th for OETC, the 6th for ISTE, and later this week for McCall. Beyond that, just things to put on your calendar and the future for next summer. Create on June 4th and GTech Summit on August 4th. So, oh my gosh, so many things. Continue to add to that. John, Melissa, anything you would add about those upcoming events, or will you be at any of these upcoming conferences?
Yeah, I'm
I
on
actually just, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, I just put in the chat, I
Yeah.
sadly am missing FETC this year, but I will be at TCEA. And so I was wondering if
nice.
anybody else will be at TCEA in Texas. And I think it's the end of January or early February. I'm excited about that.
Yes, and I will not be this year. I have been at TCA in the past. I would love to get back down to that. It is a phenomenal conference. That is great. And then, John, how about you? Will you be at any of these?
I'm going to be at McCall and at Create, and also GTech, which that's going to be, well, a little less than a year away, and it's moving to Otsego, which is a little further west than it's usually been. So I'm hoping my districts in the western counties of Ohio will be able to go to that. That's on the 4th of August.
Excellent. And I did see somebody asked about GAETC, the Georgia Education Technology Conference. And yes, I will be at that again this year. Here's my GAETC sessions. I'll go ahead and add that in as well for upcoming events. So that is coming up here pretty soon. Let me drop that in here just so that you have it. I believe that is November 5th through 6th. Yes. So I will be at the Georgia Education Technology Conference. I've got 8 sessions I'll be doing. We're still waiting on the exact dates and times for everything to get solidified because they were still finishing up the schedule. But that gives you a list of all of the sessions that I will be doing. And again, that is November, I believe, 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th. So November 5th and 6th. I'll drop that in there as well there. So that is GAETC in Georgia. Excellent. All right. Well, very good. A lot of stuff coming up. There are so many ways to learn. So here's the thing. If you're attending any of these things, please say hi to John or Melissa or myself. We would love to say hi to you at any of these events. Please, and I would encourage you to please consider submitting proposals for these, the ones that still have them open. If you're like, oh, I don't know what I have to share. No, you do. Everybody has amazing things to share. You need to share your experience, your unique take on things. So I encourage you, please do consider, if you're looking for, if it's like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for ISTE yet. Well, start with OETC. Start with a state conference, GATC, OETC, things like that. McCall. These are all fantastic state level conferences. But whatever the case, I would encourage you to share your experience. All right, good stuff. Well, we're going to move on into the main portion of our meeting, which is about what's new in Google Workspace for education. Now, keep in mind, at some point here, I don't know exactly when, again, Jen Brown and Katie Blauer will be joining us from Google. So once I see them pop on, I will pause wherever we're at in the updates, and we'll let Jen and Katie share about the updated pricing for the licensing for Google for Education. But we're going to run through as much as we can before that. And then, of course, we'll just pick up once they're done, continuing on through these. But basically, you're going to see two tabs here on the left that talk about what's new in Google for Education. The first tab is by date. So if you just want to see chronologically all of the updates that came out over the last month, you can scroll down and see all of those. But we tend to use the by topic tab instead, because it groups things more by topic. You don't get as much whiplash jumping around between all of the different changes. And so by topic, you'll see I have grouped these, whether it's, Google, Vids or Google Classroom or NotebookLM or whatever the case might be. Also note that I've only bolded certain items. The ones that have bolding in front of them on the dates, those are the ones I've decided that I'm going to be talking about here today. If they're not bolded, they're still very important. I don't mean to say otherwise. It's just I had to pick. There's only so much time. And so if it's not bolded, my intention is not to go ahead and cover those particular ones. But if you have a question about them, let us know. If there's something that I skipped over that's like, hold on, Eric, that's really important. Well, then that's fine. Drop something in the chat and let us know if you've got questions on things that we might not have chosen to cover. Also, do note the key here. The key lets you know which versions of Google Workspace for Education you need to benefit from these updates, if it applies. Some of them don't apply, like anybody can take advantage of some of these things. But if it is something that's specific to a tier, you'll see things like the bricks. I was thinking like, building bricks. That's the fundamentals. That's the free version of Google Workspace. And then you've got standard, teaching and learning upgrade, education plus, the Gemini add-on. So those icons, those emojis will let you know in some cases if you need a higher level paid tier to take advantage of those. Whew. All right. That's it. Well, let's go ahead and get on into what's new in Google from the last month. All right, so we're going to start off with some general things that didn't quite fit into any one of the categories. So this is just the general category. And the very first one out of the gate is using AI to create your own Android bot with Androidify. Let's pop on over to this blog post here. So this blog post here talks about the Androidify online tool, and there's a link to it. If you go into the blog post, it'll say you can do this on the web or as an app. We're just going to go to the web link here and pop this open. Now, you may say, I think I remember something being called Androidify in the past. And if you have that memory, good, that's correct. It's been, I don't know, it's been quite a few years since this happened, but Google used to have a free online tool where you could build your own little Android bot. And it was just something where you would go in and you would pick, eyes and mouths and nose and, hat and clothes and things like that. Well, they shut that down years and years ago. I'd have to go back and double check when it was, but it's been quite a while back they shut it down. Well, they have revived Androidify, but now it is AI powered. And so basically what I can do now is I can say, hey, let's go. And what it lets me do is I can add an image into here, and then I can, pick like my skin color, and then I can let AI look at my picture and try to build an Android bot version of my picture. I can also go in and just type in a text prompt if I prefer and say, okay, here's what I want to be wearing or things like that. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to grab a picture of myself from my resources here. Let me find one of me here. Here we go. This should be a good enough picture of me. Let's see if that one works. There we go. So there I am. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that image in there. And then I can also choose some accessories if I want. So in addition to just me, I could say, hey, I want to be wearing a cowboy hat or holding a guitar or, whatever the case. You can hit more if you want to get additional options, there that you want to have along with you. So, maybe I've got some headphones on. Oh, I don't know. What else might I have? Who knows? We'll say I've got a dog with me. That's fine. We'll say I've got headphones and a dog.
It
And then,
is
of course,
football season, Eric. So I'm just
was it?
saying.
It is
I love
football
holding a
season.
football.
Yeah, it is football season. Okay, here we'll do a football. Let me find. It'll probably bring that up again there. There we go. So a football. Perfect. Excellent. And then I can of course choose whatever color I want my skin to be, and then hit create my bot. Give it a moment, and hopefully it will generate that Android version, that Android bot version of myself. Now, what you can do at that point then is you can, of course, download that image and use it any way you want. So a lot of fun options here. This could be a fun way for somebody just to make a version of themselves for an About Me project, but it doesn't have to be a picture of yourself. You could be creating, oh, and there I am. Awesome. So here is the original photo. And there I am. I've got my headphones on, and I'm holding a football. Looks pretty good there. That's awesome. And so, at that point, if I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and come over here and hit the download button, and I can download that. So you could also do this if you were creating, creating Android bots of historical figures or characters from a book or whatever the case might be. So fun that Google has revived Androidify after all of these years, now with some AI power to help out with that. So cool stuff. Also under the general category, Google has recently released some AI literacy resources. Jenny McGarrett had a really nice blog post where she shared how they have put together an AI literacy hub where anything that Google is creating related to AI literacy is going to all be found in this one hub. Now, this explains some of the key highlights of it, or you can just come on into the blog post here and you'll find the link right there for the AI literacy hub. We'll give a click on that, and there we go. It'll pop us out to the hub, and you see there's a section for teachers with like AI courses and AI guides. For higher education, there's a section for students, and there's a section for families as well. And there's loads of things in here. So like under the families section, there's the AI playbook for parents. Clay Smith, awesome guy, good friend of mine, doing a whole bunch of videos there to help parents understand AI. There's also a podcast, Raising Kids in the Age of AI, and more resources there. For students, there's quite a number of things, including something new here called AI Quests. So that's the other link I've got here is a blog post on the AI Quests that they have now released. The AI Quests are some interactive online learning activities. At the moment, there's only one. There's going to be 3 of them total eventually, but there's only one of them at the moment that they've rolled out so far, where students are going to be basically playing a game, but while doing so, having to make some decisions about how AI can impact the real world. So each scenario deals with a real world problem, and then how could AI be used, positively or negatively related to that, so they can learn more about the potential benefits or concerns related to AI in the real world. So awesome to have these free, totally free AI literacy resources all available in one simple, easy to find location there. So thanks to Google for creating these and also putting them all together in one spot. So great stuff there. All right. What's up next? How about, Learn Your Way. So this is a really neat experiment that Google is trying out, where you can take content that you've already got and create learning materials based off of it. Now, if you pop on over to Learn Your Way, this blog post, and you go to the link to get to Learn Your Way, you'll see at the moment there is a wait list to sign up for the ability to use this yourself with your own content. You can, at the moment, use it with content they have already uploaded. But if you want to use it with your own content, just click on the wait list. It'll give you a form, fill out that form, and get added to the wait list. I've already done that, but haven't gotten off of the wait list yet. So I cannot upload my own content yet, but we can go ahead and use one of the ones they've already done. Now, some of this is going to look pretty familiar if you're used to things like NotebookLM and stuff like that. Absolutely, Google has definitely pulled from a lot of these other resources they've created, but they put it all together in this Learn Your Way tool. So here's the idea. Basically, what you would do is you would start by uploading like a PDF. You'd upload, maybe a study guide, an article, something like that. In this case, we're going to go with, let's just grab atoms and molecules, for example. So we're pretending that we have uploaded a PDF. They've done it for us. And then the tool asks you to pick basically two things. What is your grade level? And what is something you're interested in? What's a real world activity or hobby or topic that you want to relate to this? So in this case, we can be a middle schooler who likes reading, or we can be a high schooler who likes basketball. Now, same thing if I do other ones here, I could learn about, in this case, let's see, what was this one? This was carbon. I have a middle schooler who likes astronomy, or an undergrad who likes art. For earth and sky, here's a middle schooler who likes photography, etc. Well, let's just do atoms and molecules and say we're a high schooler who likes basketball. And so the idea is it's going to now take this uploaded PDF, which again, they've provided for us. In this case, you can actually see the source here. Here is the original PDF that got uploaded. And then what they do is they create 4 different ways to interact with this. So there's first an immersive text where it takes the original text from the PDF, but it makes it more interactive. It adds like questions over to the side here. So while you're reading it, you can test your understanding on the material over to the side. It also may pull out some key things like some core ideas that it's going to, give us more details on. And then there's a quiz at the bottom where I can then go through and quiz myself on all of the information that I've read in that immersive text. There's also a section called Slides and Narration, which, if you're familiar with NotebookLM, you know what this is. This is basically the video option, the slideshow, the narrated slideshow option that you can create in NotebookLM. It has created one of those for us, so I can go ahead and hit play.
Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into the tiny, fascinating world of atoms and molecules. These are the fundamental building blocks.
And you can see there's 23 slides here. Of course, I can play through the whole thing, or I can just click here to jump through the slides as well. And in each case, it's narrated, so I can listen to the explanation as it goes through this as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and pause that for a second there. Oh,
Eric?
Sorry, John?
Tracy is wondering if you can use VO to create the video from that.
So yeah, I did see Tracy had a question. I'm assuming, I think you were asking about, was that back on Androidify though? That may have been back when we were talking about Androidify. Can you use VO to create a video based off of it? Let me swing back around to that. Yep, Tracy said with the Android bot. I'll swing back around to that after we get through these here. Absolutely. So in addition to the slides and narration, Learn Your Way can also do an audio lesson, which again, that's going to be the audio overview that you're familiar with from NotebookLM. I can click play to hear just a clip of that.
Hello there. Today we're going to dive into the fascinating world of atoms and molecules.
And then there's also the mind map section here, which again, if you have used NotebookLM, you are also familiar with the mind map feature where I can take the content from this and explore this as a mind map and go into each of these individual things to learn more about those. And as I click through those, I can dive into that content there. All right. So that is Learn Your Way. It's an experiment that takes a lot of pieces that we've seen and other things Google has done with NotebookLM and so forth, and puts them all together into this one nice package. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be like when I can upload my own and try it out. But for now, you can experiment with the ones that they've already added in there. So neat to see that. Good chance some of this will also work its way into other products like NotebookLM as well. All right, good stuff.
So can
And
you export video out of that?
can you export things out of it? So the stuff that it created, are you wondering, can you then take that? So like in NotebookLM, when it creates, for example, if I pop back into that one we were just doing there, the slides and narration, if I go to the little three dots there, you'll see there's the download option there. And so it's probably very, very similar to the way it is in NotebookLM. If you create a video overview, you can download that video overview there as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. All right. And then the last one here, and then we'll swing back around to Androidify, is Mixboard. So Mixboard is another one from Google Labs. This is one where basically you are given a blank canvas that you can ask questions on. And it's like a concept board, a brainstorming board where you can ask questions for Gemini to create images, and then you can combine those images. You can ask for more versions of them. You can ask for Gemini to create things based off of them. There's a bunch of examples they give here. For example, they've got, taking your office and then add, saying, decorate my office in a Japanese style. Or here we have a picture of their dog and saying, hey, dress my dog up in different, costumes for Halloween. Here you've got a style where it's take the style and show me cups, bowls, and plates that fit that style. Here we've got a dresser. They're saying, I want to upcycle this dresser. How could I do that? You get the idea. Well, let's try one out real quick here. I'm going to pop on over to Mixboard and hit Get Started. And I'm going to redo one that I did earlier. This was one that I was working on earlier. I'll just try it out, show you from scratch what it looks like. So let's say we're doing a project where we want our students to come up with a new form of underwater life. They're learning about, sea life, but their job is to come up with a new animal that could live in the ocean. So they could say, hey, let's do a project here. And I could put in something like, show me a variety of sea life. And so once I do that, what it's going to do is it is going to generate a whole bunch of images that would be examples of sea life. And once those all show up on the board, now I can use any of these any way that I want. Give it a moment to finish displaying those. Here they come. If I'm like, oh, these are fantastic, that's great. Maybe it's like, oh, I want to, keep, this cuttlefish. And then maybe I also want to keep maybe this jellyfish. And then maybe I want to keep this fish over here. I don't know. We could decide which ones we want to use. The ones that we don't, we could even delete stuff. If we don't want something, that's totally fine. But I'm just going to go ahead and move some of these out of the way because who knows, I might want to use them again later. Well, once I've done that, I could now come up here and grab all of these three, and I could say something like create a new animal from these. And now it's going to look at those three pictures and hopefully make something, new based on that. And let's see what we get here. Let's see what it decides is going to be the combination of these three animals. And there we go. Okay. And so there is the new version of those. And if I say, oh, that's great, that's fine. If not, I can always come up here and say regenerate image, or I can say make more like this. So if I wasn't totally thrilled with that, I could say, hey, let's regenerate it, and it will do it again. It is definitely picking up pieces of each of those, doing a pretty decent job of that. Oh my, that's even more interesting there. And then, once I've done that, I can click on that and I could say something like, what could this animal's name be? You know, and so now it's going to actually generate text. And so here's our text here that it came up with, and it's giving us, some possible names for that. So basically, it's a giant brainstorming board that you can create images, combine images. You can add your own images if you want to as well. There's an upload option over here, so you can add pictures of yourself or other things in there as well. So that is Mixboard. Take it for a spin and see what you think. And I see that Jen and Katie have joined us. So we're going to put a little pin in here, right here. We're going to come back and we're going to pick up on all the other amazing new updates, which there are so many that we're going to try to highlight some key things from. But I do see that Jen and Katie have joined us. So I am going to add them onto our stage here so they can be with us. So first of all, I want to thank you guys so much for being able to take time to be with us today. Where this came about was I had some people asking about the updates to the Google Workspace for Education licensing and pricing. And I figured, hey, what better way to answer than to go straight to the source themselves? So Jen and Katie, would you want to take a moment and just introduce yourselves first so people know who you are and what you do before we dive into this?
Absolutely. Would love to do that, Eric. Thank you so much for hosting us. Hello. I already see some familiar faces and names. Hello, darling Melissa. I see you out there. My name is Jen Brown, y'all. I am on the North Central Google for Education team. I work with about 75 school districts across 8 different states, including the wonderful state of Ohio, along with a few other teammates, and we're kind of bucketed out by enrollment. So I work with districts with enrollment between 15,000 and 40,000 students. And I brought with me today our team's workspace specialist, Katie. I'll let Katie give a little hello.
Yes. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you all and see everyone in the chat. So like Jen mentioned, I'm Katie. I'm a workspace specialist here at Google. So I partner with Jen and help support all of her districts, as well as some other districts across the country. So here to help answer any questions when it comes to licensing updates, but also here as a resource for you all year-round when it comes to anything workspace or Gemini related.
Excellent. So the question of the day is, what about these updates to the pricing and licensing? So Jen, we can go a couple of ways. I know you shared this link with us here for the slideshow. I mean, I can pop that up.
Yeah. Do you want to just show the second jump?
Absolutely.
That is the one. Do you want me to just dive right into it, Eric, and kind of give people the lowdown?
Please do. Thank you so much.
Let's do it. Okay, y'all. So we're going to kind of sit in the discomfort that is a price increase. Price increases are not fun for anybody. And so I am here sitting in the discomfort of it with you. And trust me when I say we have gotten lots of really good pointed feedback from folks being like, really, a price increase right now? Never really a good time, but it particularly is hurting. So we definitely hear that. If anyone has feedback, please feel free if you throw it into the chat. It's something I will personally take back to leadership. But I like to just start off with that because we recognize this has a very real impact to the districts that we serve. What is the price increase? If you're like, hold on, I'm just getting caught up. So we announced this back at ISTE. There is going to be a price increase for Education Plus and the Teaching and Learning add-on. So you can see here, if you look on that chart, Education Plus is row 1 at the very top. Teaching and Learning add-on is the very bottom 3rd row there. So the cost is going up, and this is the MSRP sticker price, okay? That is going up from $5 to $6 annually for Education Plus, and for the Teaching and Learning add-on, it's going from $4 per user per month to $5 per user per month, or if you're doing it annually, from $48 a license to $60 a license. That's one that usually people are doing more on an a la carte model where they're only doing a handful. We don't typically see a large amount of quantities for teaching and learning. So that is part 1. The price increase, right? Very straightforward. Many of you, if you commit for multiple years, will be able to get a discount off of the Education Plus MSRP. Education Plus is the only edition where we offer that discounting for volume-based as well as term-based discounts. So if you are a very large district and you're going to have to purchase many licenses, like over 10,000, you can qualify for a discount there too. So hopefully many of you won't be paying the full sticker price. The other piece, which in my opinion is more impactful than the price increase itself, is the licensing model change. So you may be familiar with our old licensing model, which was you would get one free staff license for every 4 student licenses that you paid for. We are consolidating staff licenses and student licenses into a single license type. With that single license type, we are no longer going to have one free staff license for every 4 student licenses. Instead, the district is going to purchase enough licenses. That way, all students and all staff, which are on education fundamentals licenses, are covered. This applies to Education Plus and Education Standard. So if you're like, hold on, Jennifer, Education Fundamentals, I thought that if I'm buying Plus, I'm on Plus, not Fundamentals. You are correct. And if you are in an education domain, every user that's going to have access to the domain's Google Drive, to the editors like Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, Gmail, things like that, they require a fundamentals license to be applied as well. We do have 2 other license types that don't require a fundamentals license. This is going to be a big change, kind of in the user life cycle experience that people are used to. For example, suspended users. If you suspend a user, they're still eating up a fundamentals license. You will still have to pay for them. That's why many people are moving people from suspended users to a new archived user state. When you do that, it frees up a fundamentals license back in your pool. Now you're not having to pay for a plus or standard license for that person. There are very, very few times where you may use something called a Gmail only license. When you use that Gmail only license, it'll give access to that user to Gmail, Google Contacts, Google Meet, as well as a couple other additional, or I shouldn't say additional services, I should say other services. Additional services means something totally different. But it'll open that up, but they won't have access to Drive Docs, etc. So anyone who's in archive state or Gmail only does not need fundamentals. Everybody else will need fundamentals, and that is who you're going to have to purchase a license for. That is where most of my districts are kind of feeling some of that hurt from this increase and change, is because they're now having to purchase however many thousand more licenses based on the number of staff that they have. So the timeline for these changes, if you are looking to purchase Education Plus, Education Standard, or Teaching and Learning add-on for the first time, beginning tomorrow, October 1st, 2025, is when these changes go into effect for net new customers. If you are already on a paid SKU, at your renewal date, this will go into effect February 1st, 2026. So if your renewal is before February 1st, but after October 1st of this year, you can only commit for 1 year, but you still get the old pricing model and licensing model. If you're like, oh, but we need a multi-year agreement, are you saying I can only do a 1-year agreement? If you require a multi-year commit, you can renew on the new licensing model and get a year 1 offset discount. So that's a lot. I just kind of like info dumped on you, and I recognize that. Does anyone have questions, things I can clarify? Please, please ask. I'm more than happy to clarify, and Katie can support as well.
And yes, for those who are watching live, we would love to take any questions that you have for Jen and Katie for clarification on this. I mean, if you don't have questions right now, that's okay as well. But if you do, we would love to take those if there are some that are relevant to this, price change and the licensing changes there. In the agenda document, we do have that slideshow. We also have a support page from Google that goes into a lot of detail that Jen has just gone through there as well to try to explain this in very specific detail. There's lots of great information there, and so that can help out as well. I know, for example, we are a renewal situation where I work at the Stark County ESC, so we were able to stay on the old model at least for one more year, but we know that coming up next year, this is something we're going to have to be taking a look at there. All right, does look like we have a little bit of activity in here. Sally said we transitioned alumni students from plus licenses to fundamentals. Next year, we will have to pay for this license as well. Just checking. Can you speak to Sally's question?
Yes. So if you have those students with a fundamentals license, they will be counted in the count for paid licenses, is my understanding. Katie, definitely let me know if I have that incorrect. But we would probably recommend that you move those alumni accounts over to something like a Gmail only license. But Katie, feel free to jump in to share
Yes.
some additional detail.
Yep, no, Jen has it exactly correct. So in current state, how you have it, Sally, they would be required to have a paid license, but you do have options that you could move those alumni students over to that Gmail only account, eventually to an archive user when the time is right. So we are happy to help you, one-on-one and kind of formulate that plan, but we would recommend to move them off of that fundamentals license.
So just for clarification there, it sounds like, if I'm hearing this right, what we're saying is that any user in the past, there was, at least to some degree, an option to maybe not have every single user on an upgraded license like Plus or Standard. If I'm hearing it right, the intention here is if you have an active user and you decide we're using Plus, then you're using Plus for all active users, not for subsets. If you have accounts that, I guess, and I know this has come up before, but now I'll throw this question out there. Sometimes we get, accounts that, for example, we have a bunch of substitute accounts, so people who serve as substitute teachers. And we created those accounts to have a little bit more guaranteed ability to communicate with them. It's for like sending emails and things like that, so that we know, hey, this is an email account that's not changing. It's one that we can, guarantee. In a case like that, is your recommendation potentially making those be Gmail only accounts, or are there other options for something like those where these are not folks who are going to be taking advantage of the full power of, Education Plus, but in the past we've had accounts for them?
Great question. So I would say the line is drawn at Google Drive. So if a user does need to access anything within Google Drive, they would need that Plus license. In that instance, then they have all of those security benefits applied to their account. Everything is secure and they can access everything correctly. If someone can get by without Google Drive access and can use Gmail as their primary communication device, then that user could have the Gmail only license. So district to district, it will look very different. So I think every team should just make those decisions based on what users need access to or to not to make those choices.
And just for clarification on when you mentioned Drive access, there's a difference between saying, okay, I need Drive access because I need to create content in Drive, versus I need Drive access in the sense that I need to be able to read a Google Doc that has been shared with me from the administration. Are you saying that if I'm on a Gmail only account, can those people still view a Google document that has been shared out across the entire school district?
So not if it's restricted to within the domain. If it was set to anyone with the link publicly can view it, then they could view it. But
Okay.
if you have it restricted, so that way only people within the domain can, they would not have that visibility.
Okay, that's helpful to know. I did see Tracy asked a question about how does this apply internationally. This is GEG Ohio, but we get people from all over the world. And so I don't know if we need to speak to that.
Yes, I love it. So yes, price increases are happening internationally. Within different countries and regions, pricing can vary a bit, but in general, it's very similar to what you're seeing here for the US.
All right. And I see David had a question, but he found the answer to it. He was asking about archived users, and he mentioned that he now sees archive user as an option next to the others. So that's
Yes.
good.
Yep, David, I'm glad you found that. That just automatically came into the admin console when we announced this back in about March 2025 was when it rolled out. If you do have any questions, we have a good help center article, which I can send Eric to you to just pop into the agenda so people can access it. But it has nice step-by-step instructions in terms of how to archive users.
That would be very helpful. Speaking of those, David said there are dropout recovery schools. Sometimes you have students that come at 14, leave, and come back at 18. Can an archived user be reactivated? Curious about that.
That is a good question, David.
I believe that they can, Katie. I just would need to pull up what it would take. I think it's a manual process to do that. If you just give me a second.
Yes, that would be my guess too. So we'll try to pull some documentation. Thank you, Jen, for looking at it.
Yeah, so I'm going to peek right here, David. If you give me 1 second, I have the article up. I'm just looking. So yes, when you unarchive a user account, it returns to its previous status and regains access to all their previous data. If you're going to be unarchiving that user, you need to make sure you have available an Education Fundamentals license that you're able to then apply to that account, which I think that there's like a little studio chat. I'll throw that in there, Eric, if that can be given out to the group.
Absolutely. Well, excellent. That's great. I see Dan had asked a question about pricing, and he thought that his increase was a little bit more in California. Is that possible, or is there maybe just a misunderstanding there? Is that these prices pretty locked in and consistent?
Yes, so that is likely a misunderstanding. These are the same price increases across the entire US region. So same price increase for California. I know within California, we have some buying agreements in place with some of the statewide initiatives there, site being one of them. So I would reach out to your site contacts to make sure you get the final pricing there.
All right. Well, we want to be sensitive to time here. And I know it's so wonderful that Jen and Katie were able to take some time to join us. So I'm going to put out a quick last call to anybody who is in the chat that wants to drop a question in for Jen or Katie now. But going forward, if people do have questions, what is your recommendation? What's the best way for them to get more information on these changes or anything related to this?
That is a great question. So what you're going to want to do is get in touch with, and I'm going to see if I can share my screen really quickly.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to show here, this is the North Central Google Program Manager team. So for those of you who are within the North Central region of the United States, that would include like Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, I believe. These are the email addresses and contact information for myself, for my teammates Sam Reeder, and my teammates Akanksha and Sai. If you look in the gray italicized piece underneath our pictures, it tells us what size districts we work with. If you're like, wait, I'm in California, I'm international, hold on, who should I be talking to because I'm not North Central? You can just send me an email and I'll get you routed to the right Google Program Manager. But talk directly to your Google Program Manager because we're going to have the correct, accurate information on this, and you'll be able to rely on whatever answer that you need.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much. I know it's never fun to come on and tell people about price increases or things like that. A lot of times when you guys are sharing, you're talking about awesome new updates, or you're talking about, new features or opportunities or things like that. But we appreciate you still taking the time and just coming and sharing the information that we all need to know about this, so people have time to start figuring out the best way to address this change in the coming year.
Absolutely, Eric. We're so glad to be here. If you have more questions, folks, you know where to find us. Please reach out.
All right. Thanks again so very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and we'll close out of those links. And again, those links are available there, right there on our updates by topic. You can see the slideshow and the Google Help page on the licensing update. And Jen and Katie mentioned that they were going to probably share some additional resources with me. Once they do that, I will be sure to add those in there as well. All right. Well, folks, let's get back to what we were talking about, which was what's new in Google. We had just finished the general section, but there had been one lingering question when we had done the Androidify example earlier. Tracy had wondered, could we take this image that we generate from here and could we use a tool like VO to animate it? Absolutely, yes. You can download this. I could come here and download this image. And then once I've downloaded that image, I could pop over to Gemini. And if I have access to VO, now keep in mind, not everybody has access to VO. VO is part of the paid version of Gemini. So for example, I do pay for Gemini. So I do have the create videos with VO option. So I can choose that. I could then add that photo and then describe how I want to animate that or how I want to turn it into a video. That is part of that paid version of Gemini, which is typically like $20 a month to go from the free version of Gemini to Gemini Pro, the paid version of that. So short answer is yes, as long as now there are ways around. So for example, if you take this image and you upload it to like your phone, that's a different approach. VO is actually also available inside of Google Photos, at least a version of it where you can do some animation on things. And then another way is YouTube Shorts. I know that sounds strange, but VO is built into YouTube Shorts, and you can take an image and you can incorporate it into those. So in Google Photos, it would be free, and in YouTube Shorts, it would be free. Not as wide open as what I can do here, where I can just literally describe exactly what I want, but that would be a possibility, is using Google Photos on your phone or using YouTube Shorts if you're looking for a way to access at least a limited version of the VO video creator. All right. Hope that answers that question well enough. All right. Well, let's keep on moving. Now, there's a lot more stuff that has come up new over the last month. We're not going to cover a lot of this just because there was so much. But again, I would encourage you. Oops, looks like we accidentally got an extra thing in here. Let's clean that up. There we go. I would encourage you to explore these. I'm not going to talk about all the updates to Gmail and Calendar and Chat and Search. I did not bold these ones, so they're great. Please check out, click the links, explore them. Same thing for Drive and Slides and Sheets and Forms and Photos. And again, well, there it is. VO3 comes to Photos. There it is, like I just mentioned there. So there's a lot of great stuff here. There's just not enough time. If we have time at the end, I am absolutely thrilled to come back around and we can dive into any of these. But for now, let's go ahead and move on down to the next section where I've decided to bold something, which is Google Vids. So Google Vids was initially a tool that was only available for people who had the Plus tier. A few months back, we got the great news that Vids was now going to be available for everybody. And that's fantastic. So if you're not familiar with Vids, it's basically Google's video tool that feels a lot like, let's say, Google Slides, if Google Slides was really updated with all sorts of, multimedia narration abilities and things like that. So you're creating videos. in something that's somewhat formatted like Google Slides. Here, I'll pull up an example here. Here is Google Vids, and I'll just grab this one on a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and you'll see what I mean by it's almost like each one of these sections here is a slide. It's not. It's actually like a little video clip, but it runs kind of like a slide. And then on each one of these, you can have narration. You can have videos embedded inside of them. You can have animations. You can, it's so. That's what Vids looks like. Well, Vids is now free for all education users, well, really for anybody. And because of that, there was this interesting concession that got made, which is a limited promotion of expanding access to AI features in Google Vids for the Plus and teaching and learning users. So let me explain what this is all about. Google Plus, Google Education Plus used to be the only way, well, that or teaching and learning, the only way to get access to Vids. And it's possible there could have been a school that chose to upgrade to Plus and pay the extra money because they really wanted access to Vids. Well, then Google turns around and very kindly makes Vids free for everybody. There's a potential there could be some schools saying, well, shoot, we just paid for Education Plus because Vids was this thing we were really hoping to get. And maybe there was other reasons why, but that was a piece of our decision. Well, Google was sensitive to that. And they go, okay, I get you. I hear you. Yep, I totally understand. So let's do this. If you did pay for Plus or teaching and learning, and now Vids is free for everybody, we're going to give you something extra. For the next year, we're going to give you access to the AI features in Vids. Now, those are normally only available if you do the Gemini upgrade. So all these ones with the little robot here, like, using Nano Banana to edit images in Vids, or to create videos from slide presentations, or to, there's so many more, things that are part of that. Well, those extra AI features, at least for the next year, are now free for those people who had paid for Plus or teaching and learning. So what is included in that? It's things like the read-along mode in the teleprompter, the AI voiceovers, text-to-image generation, replacing image backgrounds, the Help Me Create, where it can build the vid for you from scratch, the transcript trim, and coming soon, later this year, other things like being able to use VO3 inside of Vids to generate videos, as well as using the built-in AI avatar feature or the slides to Vids tool. So all of those things that typically would be considered the Gemini upgrade on top of everything else for at least, I think they said guaranteed through May 31st of 2026. If you've got Plus or teaching and learning, you now have access to all of those. So for example, this one I was showing you, the caterpillar to butterfly, this is a completely AI generated vid. All I did was I went to Vids. Here, let me go ahead and go to Vids. I went to Vids. I said, let's create a new video. And what I did was I used the option here. Let me see where it was here. Actually, now I'm trying to remember where I went in and did this initially here. No, it wasn't the blank vid one, Eric. Sorry about that, guys. Now I'm trying to remember where it was. It was the temp. Oh, it was under the templates, was it? No. Oh, I can't find it now. I did it a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was this. Yep, there it was. It's under storyboard. I'm so sorry. They move things around so often. It's under the storyboard. There it is. Okay. So I went to the storyboard and I just typed in, I want a vid that covers the life cycle of a butterfly at a level that is understandable to elementary students or something like that. So I just typed in, this is what I want. And basically the AI built this entire vid for me. Now I could have done that by hand, step by step, but it built the entire thing. And then it also even narrated it. So like, for example, if I play a clip of it here.
Let's learn about the fascinating journey of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Today we'll explore the amazing process called metamorphosis.
And so it wrote the script, it did the text to speech, the whole thing. So that's just a quick little sample of some of the AI features. Other neat AI features that are now rolling out are things like having the AI avatars, where if you don't want to be on the screen, you can pick one of the avatars that are available, and there's lots of avatars that you can choose from here. And then after you pick the avatar, you can give it some, text there. And again, if I play this,
you can choose from 12 different preset AI avatars. Each has a different look and built-in voice. When you use these AI avatars,
and it will actually, speak, and the mouth will move to match what you're saying there. So those are just a little taste of some of the AI features. So, hey, be aware, if you've got Plus or Teaching and Learning, guess what? For the next year, take advantage of the AI features. At least for the next year, we now have those available. So pretty good stuff there. All right. Michelle said, we have Education Plus, but do not have the storyboard option or the avatar option. That is correct. Some of these things are, like I said, they're rolling out soon. Now, I pay for Gemini, so that's why I already have those. But here it says, additionally, access to some of these features here should be available by the end of the year. So there's a couple of things like the avatars and some of the other additional features there. Those will be rolling out by the end of the year. What should be available right now would be the ones that were mentioned up here at the top, but more of them are coming out here soon. That's why, correct. I already have paid for the AI add-on, so I do have all of those additional features there. As far as which AI features are going to be available temporarily for Plus and Teaching and Learning, at the moment, these 6 are available or are in the process of rolling out. And by the end of the year, these additional ones are going to be included in that. So hopefully that helps. All right, good stuff. All right, well, let's go ahead and clear that out. Next up in the updates. Oh, and by the way, let me pause for a moment. John and Melissa, at any point, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, please unmute, holler at me, let me know if there's something that you see in the chat that I'm missing, or have you tried some of these tools? I would love to get your input on these at any point. So I just wanted to mention again, please holler at me at any point.
I have not tried Vids, but I am interested in getting to know it more because I love video production in the classroom.
Yeah.
There is some concern in the chat, if you haven't already addressed it, about those saying that they have those advanced accounts, but still aren't seeing the features that you're talking about. So I don't know if we want to suggest that they talk to Jen, but there is still concern in chat.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, like we said, a lot of those are still in the process of rolling out. In that blog post, it does mention these are the 6 that should be available right now, but some of the more advanced ones, they're saying later by the end of this year, some of the more advanced AI features will begin showing up. And that includes things like AI avatars, slides to vids, the VO3, video generation, things like that. Not sure why they didn't just dump them all at once, but whatever the case, those should be coming out later this year.
You've done some
yeah.
videos on using Vids.
So as far as using Vids, couple of quick things. I do have in my show and tell an article that was done recently on Vids. Let me just copy this and drop it into here as well. So if anybody is looking for that resource right away, this is one from Jeremy Baininger, who I love Jeremy. He's a great guy up in Michigan, and he has a great blog. If you're not familiar with his blog, please do check that out. He recently did a pretty in-depth blog post on creating with Google Vids, and he kind of goes through the whole thing of getting started, adding things, using the tools, using templates, starting from a blank vid, adding scenes, importing slide decks, adding audio, publishing, on and on and on. So that's a great start point. And then John, you said you got access to some things as well?
No, I think my comment was that if you're starting out with this and you don't have a really good idea about how it might fit into your workflow. Watching a video like that will give you some ideas. And as you were talking and explaining what Google Vids was, I mean, do you remember Movie Maker from way back when?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then iMovie, of course, is still there on the Apple side. And then we had the Chromebooks came along, and you couldn't do any of that on those. And then we got WeVideo, and then so we've started to see a lot more. And then Canva's got some video production, and so I think that this is a wonderful addition to have students be able to do a lot of these kinds of things on Chromebooks. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited about using. We may even be starting to use Vids. If you look at it, basically, you think, oh, I can just animate a slideshow and make it into a movie, but it's so much more than that. But you need to have someone explain to you some of the possibilities so that you can kind of broaden your horizons.
Yes. And I'm right there with you, John. I have not used Vids anywhere near the amount that I should have by now. Initially, when it came out, I did have access to it because, we've got the Plus version. And so I played around with it, but I probably didn't put as much energy into it because I'm like, well, a lot of people don't have the Plus version. And so, okay, I need to put my energy where I can hit the most people. But then this summer, when Vids became free for everybody, I'm like, okay, now I need to start diving into it more. So that is on my very short list of tools that I really need to just camp out on and really explore. I mean, I've created several things with it, but I know I am not plumbing the depth of everything you can do with it. So
and people are mentioning that it does have a 10-minute limit.
And again, I don't recall that because I haven't played with it enough. But as far as how long can a vid be, if that's what they're referring to, again, I apologize. I haven't played with it enough. None of my videos come close to 10 minutes. So I have not come close to, maxing out any length on that. All right. So anyway, do check out Jeremy's blog post if you want to get a nice introduction to Vids and take advantage of the AI features that, at least for now, are free if you're using Plus or Teaching and Learning. All right, let's keep on moving. Next up, Google Classroom. Some pretty big updates in Google Classroom. So the very first one here is an update for those that are using Teaching and Learning or Plus, and it involves read along. Now, if you're familiar with read along, that's not new. We've had read along for quite a while. Read along is a tool from Google that allows you to pick from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and you can assign them in Google Classroom, and then students read the book aloud, and the AI listens to them read, and it monitors their fluency, and it gives you statistics on how well your students are reading those books. It's aimed at early readers. Okay. That's great. That's not new. What's new is we can now use Gemini to generate new stories inside of Read Along. So Google's provided, like I said, over 800 or so pre-made books. But what if you want to add your own? Well, you can now do that. So let me show you real quick. I'm going to pull over my other account where I was doing this. If I go into Classroom and I go to Create, and I say I want to make an assignment, and I come down here to Read Along, and I pull Read Along up. Certainly, again, I can pick from, the hundreds of 808 leveled readers. I can pick from those, and I can already add my own, and that's been in there for a while. I can create my own story, like I can type in a title and I can add my own text. But now I can do it right here from the Read Along menu with AI instead. I can come in here and I can pick a grade level. I can type in the topic or a plot, additional notes, required words, and have it generate a story. So I could say something like, life cycle of a butterfly. And if I had additional notes or required keywords I wanted, and then go ahead and click Generate Story, and it is going to create that story. And so here it is. Here's the story that it created. I can hit preview to see what that looks like. So Bella the Butterfly's Big Change. And as I click through, I can see, sentence by sentence as it's having me read through the story. And if I like it, when I get to the very end, so here again is the story. Now, there's no images included with it. It is just text, but here we go, almost to the end of it. See, and there we go. Awesome. So there we go. So that's the story. If I like that, I can now hit attach, and that will then attach it to that Google Classroom assignment. It does take it a little while for it to then generate the AI ability to read it aloud to the students. It does have to process that, but it will be available right away to them. So, for example, I did this earlier with another one. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So this is a pretend student. And so if I come in here to my classwork, here is one I did earlier, same sort of thing. I can now open that up, and I could run through the whole read along process. So I can hit start.
Let's read. Bella the Butterfly's Big Change.
And then I would have to give it permission here. Once upon a time, on a bright leaf, lived a tiny egg. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop that though, just because we're not going to go through and read all of that, but you get the idea there. And so there we go. So that would be an example of a student using an AI, and I won't actually attach that one to here, but using an AI generated read along story. So that is one of the updates for Classroom. The other one that applies to everybody, not just teaching and learning and plus, but everybody, fundamentals, the whole shebang, everybody, is that educators can now create and assign NotebookLM notebooks and Gemini gyms right inside of Google Classroom. So from Google Classroom, teachers can now either create or choose pre-existing notebooks from NotebookLM and create or choose existing gyms from Gemini, and then push them out to their students as learning resources, as learning activities. So let me show you what that looks like. So let's pop back on over here, and I've already done a couple of them, but I'll just show you the idea from scratch just so you can see what it looks like. But you can see I've already created a couple that I'll pull up in just a moment from the student's point of view. But if I go to create, I can either do this as part of an assignment or I can do them as standalone. So this can just be a standalone notebook that's not attached to an assignment. So you could just have a notebook that is with loads of content that covers an entire unit, or a gym that you want your students to constantly have access to, like a study partner gym, or they can be part of a specific assignment. So either way is fine. If I do it as an assignment, if I say create assignment, you'll see NotebookLM and gym show up now under the attach. Now if you say, Eric, I don't see that yet, it is still rolling out. I have it on this account, but I don't have it on a different account. So it's in the process of rolling out. Nevertheless, if I were to come here and say, okay, I want to attach, for example, a gym, if I do that, I can pick from the pre-made gyms like the study partner, the quiz me, the brainstorming partner, the real world connector, or I could just say, okay, rather than using, one of these templates here, I want to, create my own. But I could instead say, no, let's do a study partner. If I go with that one, that's fine. And then I can also attach to that one of my existing assignments so that it can pull in the content from that assignment as well. If I do that, it will then create the gym, and that gym gets attached to the assignment. Same thing with the notebook. If I click on the notebook button, I can either create a brand new notebook from scratch, or I can select a notebook that I already have. If I have created any of them in the past, I can just grab one of my existing notebooks that I've already made. Once again, once I create that, it then attaches it to the assignment here. Once it's attached to the assignment, of course, I can just then assign that out to my students. The other option, like I said, is I don't have to attach them to an assignment. I can just say, hey, I want to create a notebook for my class, and then run through the same process, and then it's just going to post it. It's not going to be an assignment. It's just going to get posted to the top. Or I can say, I want to create a gym. Again, that's just going to be posted to the class rather than being part of an assignment. Now, what does this look like for the kids? So let's pull my demo student back over here again. So here's my demo student. You can see for this one, I think the butterfly life cycle was the one I attached. Yes, I attached the study partner to it. So here is this butterfly life cycle assignment with a PDF for them to read, but then I also attached the study partner gem to it. So the student clicks on that, it's going to pop open that gem. And now the student could say hello, and it should start interacting with me. Hey there, tell me what grade you're in and what you're working on. And so now the student can have an interaction with this study partner gem that has very explicit directions on how to assist and support the student as they are studying any content. Now, the other one I did was the NotebookLM one. That one I did not attach to an actual assignment. I just added it to the entire class, so it just shows up at the top there. And in that case, if the student pops this one open, what they're going to see is all of the content that I preloaded on mitosis and meiosis. They're also going to see anything I, as a teacher, generated for the student. Now, they can't generate their own studio content with this. I have to do that myself. And so I went ahead and created ahead of time. I made an audio overview. So here's an audio overview we can listen to. I created a quiz. I created a briefing document. I created flashcards. I created all of this sort of a study guide. All of those things I created inside of the notebook so that the students have access to them. How can the students interact with this, though? They can either use anything I created here, or they can chat with Gemini, and Gemini is going to pull from any of the content I've added to answer. So the student could say, help me explain the difference, help me understand the difference between mitosis and meiosis, or whatever the case might be. They can have a conversation with the notebook. So the students aren't actually generating their own content over here. You've got to do that yourself, but that way you can provide them with all those great support materials to help them with anything they're learning about in class. Now, what sort of interaction do you have with the students' participation in this? Not much at the moment. Basically, all you can see is have they used these or not. So for example, here I can see one student has used the study partner gem, and that was test user 1. But I can't see what they did with it. I know for a lot of people, that's what they really are hoping to see come from this. So think of a tool like School AI or Magic School or Brisk, where I create basically, a gem. That's basically what you're creating. You're creating a custom AI chatbot that the students interact with. Well, if I'm using School AI or Magic School or Brisk, I can also see the entire conversation that the student is having with the AI. I get summaries on how they're doing, things like that. Maybe that's to come. I truly hope it is. I mean, I think that is the transformative potential here. It's not here yet. I just want you to understand that very clearly. What I just showed you, that's all you can do at the moment, is you're basically giving the student a notebook they can interact with, or a gem that's going to follow your very explicit directions to help them study or review or whatever the case is. But that's the end of it. You can see if they opened it, but you really can't see what they did with it yet. I hope that's to come. I think that would be an absolutely invaluable tool to have as part of this. I think being able to monitor what the students are saying, getting insights into what they understand and what they don't understand, I think is going to be incredibly transformative. For now, if you want that, you do need to use something like School AI, Magic School, Brisk, things like that. Those tools do provide that. And there's lots of others. Those are just 3 quick examples there. Also, it is necessary. This is a key thing. The students have to have either NotebookLM or Gemini turned on for their account. They cannot open this notebook. They cannot talk to this gem unless they actually have access to Gemini and or NotebookLM on your school domain. So that does mean If you want to take advantage of this, you do have to flip that switch in the admin console that says students now have access to NotebookLM and or Gemini, which is available to all ages, but some schools understandably have not flipped that switch yet. They're like, well, we're not quite ready to turn that on for students. So be aware, you do have to turn on Gemini and or NotebookLM for the students, not just for the teachers, for that to be used. Okay, let me pause for a second. That was a lot. I just dumped a ton of stuff on you there. So I'm curious, John and Melissa, maybe you saw some things popping up in the chat. It looks like the chat has been cranking through here. There's a lot of stuff there. Did you see something that we need to address?
Well, we had some discussions. I think you actually, Tracy had a question which you answered right just at the end there. And then I guess I was, there was in our tech leaders group, there was a message that went out just generally how many, it'd be interesting to see in the chat how people respond. How many of you actually have Gemini turned on for your students? And because that was, and I think what you were just talking about, the features that you have in Magic School and School AI for the student-facing part of the AI tool is that you can see every interaction, and it is a much of a safer place to be. But I'm wondering, given that many districts are having to prepare their policies, for next year as to how they're going to be using AI, they're starting to think about turning it on for the students. And I would be interested to know how many schools have turned it on, and what is the approach that they're going to take with Gemini, given that you can't really see the student interactions right now.
So, John, thanks for sharing all of that. So, yeah, a couple of things about that. As far as seeing student interactions, that is correct. A teacher under normal conditions is not going to be able to see any student interactions. Don't forget, though, that Google is still, though, actually recording those interactions, and they're being recorded into Google Vault.
Right.
So a tech administrator can go in and can see everything that a student types into Gemini and the responses they get back and things like that. So on one hand, there is plumbing built into the system that it is being recorded. There is a way that a tech administrator can get in and see that. But that's not realistic. That's not practical. That's not something, a teacher cannot take advantage of that. But I'm encouraged to know that it is being recorded, so at least it's there. Maybe that's to come. I hope it is, because I think that is such a selling point when you think of a tool like Magic School, School AI, Brisk, the ability to get that feedback on how the students are doing and what they're saying. And we're not talking about spying on kids. That's not yet. To some degree, it's like, okay, are they misusing the tool? I need to be alerted on things like that. But it's just for the simple fact that this is powerful, actionable insights that a teacher would benefit from, to know, okay, which of my students are struggling? Well, let me know that so that I can pull those 5 students aside who have this specific need that I need to help them with, or I want to get insight into preparing next day's lesson. So I need to know, what do they understand? What don't they understand? Things like that. I think that they're sitting on a gold mine of data, of educational data there, that tools like Brisk and Magic School and School AI have very, very competently learned how to mine that data and, provide it to the teachers in an understandable manner. So I hope that's coming. As far as students using, Gemini, though, yeah, I would love to hear. I did see Steve said they've turned it on for their students. So we've got that. Craig says not yet, but they plan to do so in January. And you're right. There was a thread, and I'm trying to think which. Let me see. Trying to think. Yeah, it was in our GEG group. Jolie. Hey, it's Jolie started that one. She said, that wasn't our group. That was the New England group. Sorry, it was Jolie and the New England GEG group. She started the thread asking how many people have turned it on. And so maybe there's another thread you've seen as well, John. That's the one that I saw, was that one. And they're getting a lot of feedback from schools who have or have not turned it on yet. So I would be curious to hear from others, whether they have or haven't turned it on. Keep in mind, that the students do have the same protections that Google affords to the teachers as well, meaning that there's built-in data privacy security. Nothing they type in is going to be shared with anybody outside of your school. It's not used for advertising. It's not used to train future models. No humans are reviewing anything that gets typed in. So all of those key things, that is covered for NotebookLM, that's covered for Gemini. The biggest issue right now, is just to be able to view what the students are doing. You do have to have administrative access to Google Vault for that. So, all right. Anything else you saw in the chat there that we should address before we move on?
No, I think we're good, and we got lots of updates to go.
Oh my gosh, don't we? Okay, so let's keep on moving. How about Google Chrome? Some quick updates on Chrome. So all three of these are the same. All three, these are not three separate things. These are all three talking about the same thing, which is Gemini is now for free for everybody, fundamentals on up, is going to be baked right inside of Google Chrome. So what we mean by that is coming soon. I don't think this is rolled out to many people yet. What did they say? Oh, starting October 2nd. So no, so it is not rolled out, I don't think, to anybody yet. Gemini is going to be built right inside of the Chrome browser. Now, what does that mean? Well, I do have access to this because in the past, if you paid for the Gemini upgrade, you had this. So I can show you what this looks like. This is something that was part of the paid version of the Gemini upgrade. And so here you can see, for example, on my personal account where I paid for this, if I was a student or anybody reading an article in this case about, caterpillars turning into butterflies, in the top corner of Chrome, I have a little Gemini star, and I can click on that and it pops up Gemini inside of Chrome. And I can say, hey, I just want to chat with Gemini, or I want to share the page I'm looking at with Gemini. Well, now that I've shared the page, I could ask Gemini to summarize this. And it's going to now read that page and it's going to generate a summary for me based on that. Now, I could ask it way more questions than that. That's a pretty simple thing to ask it to do. I have used this so much over the last several months that I've had access to this. There's times I'll be filling out some form online and I'll be like, I don't even understand what they're asking for on that question. I'll click the little star and I'll ask Gemini, well, what does this mean? And Gemini can look right at my page and go, oh, well, in this case, what you need to be filling out is blah, 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 And so it basically puts Gemini right inside of the browser. So anything you can see, Gemini can see. Now it can do way more than that. That is not the only thing it can do. It's not just to read your web pages and give you a summary. If you go to the, I think the third one down gives more examples here. Let me see if this is the one. I think the third one gives a lot more examples. Yeah. So like, using it to explain things on your page, but it's other things as well. Like they're adding an agentic browsing ability to it in the coming months, where you'll basically be able to tell Gemini to go do something for you, and it can just take over your browser and do the thing. So it can actually, do tasks for you. And then it can also read through multiple tabs to compare different tabs, can search through your history, can interact with other tools like YouTube, on and on and on and on and on. So many awesome features coming into that. So this is something that is just going to be available for free. If you are in the Chrome browser, you will, starting October 2nd or sometime soon after, you'll see that little Gemini icon show up in the top corner. Now, you can go in and change this if you want. If you're a tech administrator, there's details in here about going into the admin console and the settings. It is on by default, but you can go in and, of course, adjust that if you prefer not to have it on for all of your users. if you needed to make any changes to that there. So be aware, this is coming very soon. And I'm not surprised because initially, again, this was something that was only part of the paid version of Gemini, but there's a lot of other competitors who have started to do this for free. They've just started to bake in AI right into their browser. I mean, Microsoft has done this for a long time. They've had Copilot baked into Edge. I don't know. It's been quite a long time. It is not like a recent thing. And there's other tools that have done this. I think it was trying to remember which I'm drawing a blank right now, and I apologize. You would think I would have a little too many updates on my mind at the moment. One of the other AI chatbots has recently launched a similar browser that has AI built into it. And for whatever reason, I'm completely drawing a blank on which one it was. John, you had a comment though.
Yeah, I have put a note in my share item, and if we don't get to it, if people are using Firefox, which is I guess it's a kissing cousin of Chrome, based on the same code base. In the sidebar now, you can actually choose Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, and it opens up in its own nice little sidebar.
There you go.
Now, I don't think it looks at the content that you have in the main screen like Gemini does when it's built into Chrome. But yes, I've been using that to answer questions and have access to an AI tool while I'm browsing, and that's very handy.
Excellent. I think Perplexity was the one I was thinking about. So they have also rolled out a AI powered browser. So basically Google has no choice but to do this, because if they don't, everybody else is doing it. So I was not at all surprised to see that it is now just going to be free. Now, here's the weird place. Here's the weird thing. Do you know what's not included in this? Who's not getting Gemini baked into Chrome? What's not listed here? Chromebooks. Chromebooks. At the moment, you have to have a Chromebook Plus model to have Gemini included in it. So if you're not using a Plus model, even though it's getting baked into just regular old Chrome, it's not yet been listed as being included in Chrome on a Chromebook unless it's a Chromebook Plus model. I do not know if that's going to change, because that's been a carrot they've been hanging out there. This is why you want to buy a Plus model, because you get Gemini baked into the browser. Will that continue to be a carrot to pull people to Plus? Which again, Chromebook Pluses, those are phenomenal Chromebooks. I would have a hard time purchasing a Chromebook that's not Chromebook Plus. It is a really, really good device. Now, if you're buying giant amounts of them in bulk for students, I understand they cost a little more, so you might not do that. But if you're buying a Chromebook for a staff member, please, please, please buy the Plus model. They have more memory, they're more powerful, faster processor. But who knows? Maybe Gemini will also wind up in Chrome on those as well. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right. We're down to Google Admin. Just a quick note on this. Might not apply to a lot of folks, because if you're not an administrator on your domain, this doesn't apply to you. But Google is now requiring two-step verifications if you're an admin starting October 6th. So please make sure, if you haven't done that yet, get in there and make sure anybody who's an administrator on your domain, make sure they have two-step verification set up, or they're not going to be able to continue to be an administrator after October 6th until you get that fixed. And I do have a quick guide here on two-step verification. If you're trying to encourage more people to use that in your district, here's a quick help guide here that you can share with them that explains how two-step verification works. All right, next up, we've got NotebookLM and Gemini. So this is our final content that we're going to hit here. There's quite a bit of updates here, but I'm going to try to hit them as quick as I can. So NotebookLM has rolled out a bunch of new updates. I'll show these to you guys here. So the first update that came out is new options for when you create an audio overview. You now can do a brief, a critique, or a debate in addition to the traditional audio overview. So let me show you what that looks like. I think I have some examples. Let me see if I can find one that I was doing some of these earlier. Let's see if I can find them now. You would think I have enough tabs open that I would be able to find this quick enough. It's okay. I'll just pull it back up. I thought I had it open already. We'll just go ahead and pop this open real quick. So let's go over to NotebookLM. Awesome. So let's say we grab, you see, let's grab the Boston Tea Party one. Sure, that'll be a good one. We'll use this for our example here. So now when I go up to audio overview, in the past, it would basically just create that audio overview where it was two co-hosts having a deep dive conversation about your content. Well, now you can hit the little pencil for audio overview, and you'll see in addition to the deep dive, you can do a brief, which is a much shorter summary. You can do a critique, which provides feedback on the content, like if you've given it a rough draft and you want it to give you critique on it, as well as a debate where you can have a debate between two hosts on the topics that you have uploaded there. So in addition to that, you can also, of course, change the length of those, whether it's default or shorter, at least on those two. And of course, on the deep dive, you also have longer default and shorter. But these are 3 new modes. And I did go ahead and create some of those as examples. We won't take the time to play them, but here is the brief. And then here is the debate on the Boston Tea Party. So that's one of the new updates. Another new update is the ability to create flashcards, quizzes, and new reports inside of NotebookLM. So in addition to the change to the audio overview, you'll now see there's a flashcards button and a quiz button here. For the flashcards button, I can go in and choose the number of cards, the level of difficulty. I can describe more about what I want, and the same thing for the quiz. Number of questions, difficulty, and describe more. I did that earlier. So let's see. Here is my flashcards. Let's click on the flashcards, pop those open, and I can make this bigger to see it a little bit better. And so here we have the flashcards, and I can click on the flashcards and work my way through. And it's created this set of 50 flashcards that I can use to quiz myself. And if I need more details, I can click on explain and it will generate that explanation for me. So there's the flashcards. And then let's see the other one, the quiz. Here's the quiz that I generated as well, which is basically going to take you through a quiz. You click on the answer. If you don't get it right, it explains why that was not correct, shows you the correct answer, and explains why it was. It's going to be a 10-question quiz. At the very end of that, it'll also then give me a summary of how I did on that. So, and then reports. If you click on the reports button, you now have some standard ones like a briefing document, a study guide, a blog post. But now, in addition to those, it'll look at your content and suggest for you things like, hey, would you like a report that is a key figures profile or a historical analysis or a curriculum plan? Or you could just create your own and say, hey, none of these reports are what I was looking for. And you could just describe what it was you wanted. I did the key figures one earlier. And so here's the report it created where it talks about all of the key figures related to the Boston Tea Party. So that is now all available inside of NotebookLM. And then the last thing is a new feature that is still rolling out. I think I've got it on this account. I think it's on this account. And that is the learning guide feature. And what we mean by that is up in the top right-hand corner above the chat. There is now this little slider button to configure your notebook. If you click on that, you can change your conversational style. And they've added this new one called Guide. And basically what that does is instead of just giving you answers, it is going to serve more as like the guided learning feature in Gemini does, where it's going to walk you through the content and it's going to ask you questions. It's not just going to give you the answers, but it's going to help guide you. So that learning guide feature. There's also, the analyst and a custom feature where you can describe exactly how you want the AI to communicate with you. That has not shown up on all of my accounts, but it has shown up on this one. So loads of NotebookLM updates. All right. And finally, Gemini, and I saw Sarah said, is there a way to share gems with colleagues? Hey, Sarah, yes, that's what's included in our final section here. So we are going to head into that. Oh, I think I did see one other question. Let me see here. There was a question, haven't tried these, but if you need it in English and then in another language, would the content be the same or would it be regenerating it? Shannon, good question. If you do need to change languages, which you can do on these, you can go in and change the language for most of these things. So like if I was doing, the audio overview, I can choose different languages. I think that's true for most of the things that we can generate here. It does regenerate it. So I do not believe it would be a word for word translation. It doesn't take the old version and make a Spanish version of it. It actually generates a whole new one in Spanish. That is my understanding at the moment of how that would work. All right, well, let's hit Gemini. What can we cover here real quick? So the first two, just some really helpful resources on creating images with Gemini. If you have not been taking advantage of the image generation feature in Gemini, here are just some nice inspirations. This first one talks you through step by step some really great prompts you could use. So if you wanted to make something photorealistic, here's an example prompt for that. If you wanted to do something that's like a sticker, here's a prompt that would work great for that. Or if you wanted to put text inside of an image, or if you wanted to do a product mock-up, or if you wanted to do something minimalist, or if you wanted to do something that was more of like a graphic novel approach, and on and on. If you want to edit images and change them, if you want to change the style of an image, if you want to take two images and combine them together, these give you all the prompts you need to be able to try those things out. Same with this link here. 10 examples of creative ways to use the image tool in Gemini. If you're just looking for fun examples, things like creating a 16-bit version of something, taking an image where you as an adult are having a tea party with yourself as a child, on and on and on down the line. These are just really creative examples of using Gemini to create images. If you're looking for inspiration, these give you ideas to help with that. All right. Let's see what's up next. Next up, I know I've mentioned several times about the paid version of Gemini. That is now being called Google AI Pro for Education. It now has a new name. It used to be something different. I can't remember exactly the wording because things have changed over time. But they had two different versions. It was like a Gemini Pro and Gemini something else. Well, it's now just called Google AI Pro for Education. This is something I do pay for. That's how I get access to some of these additional Gemini features. It has now been rebranded to be Google AI Pro for Education, and now there's only one subscription option. There's not like two versions. There was like a basic version and a more advanced version. It's just one version now. This blog post explains about that Google AI for Pro license. This blog post talks more about what's included in it and gives us the pricing for that, which is now at $20 a month. If you do this annually, it's $24 a month. If you do it monthly, $20 a month if you do it annually, and $15 a month if you go anywhere between 50 to 1,000 licenses. This is definitely much better than the pricing used to be because you're getting everything. You're getting what used to be the premium version, which was like $36 a month. And so they have dropped the price on it, which is great. And now there's just one subscription that you can pick from, which is less confusing. You do not have to buy a bunch. You can actually just buy a single license if you want. You can buy 5 or 10 licenses, try it out, see what people think about it, and then scale it up from there if you need to. If you're curious about what all comes with it, the third link here gives you a better breakdown on all of the things that get included in the AI Pro, how you get Gemini inside of Google Meet, inside of Gmail, inside of all of your docs, slides, sheets, forms, chat, you get Google Vids, more powerful features in NotebookLM. I love it for Google Meet. That's the thing where it just is an absolute, time saver for me. Every meeting that I have, Google AI Pro basically takes notes for me, and at the end of the meeting provides me with a really detailed Google document with all of the minutes from the entire meeting. So that has just been a lifesaver. So anyway, those will give you some details if you've been curious as you've been hearing us talk about some of these. Anyone's would have anything that has the robot on it. If you see the robot, if you see the robot anywhere, the robot icon is showing up. There's a lot of spots where you just basically the robot is the only way to get those features. Any place you see those kind of things, that's what we're talking about. That is the paid Gemini Pro version. All right, what else? Speaking of paid and all of those sort of things, Gemini has provided, Google has finally provided some details on usage limits. If you're curious, well, what are my limits? Why might I want to go up to Pro versus using the free version? If you're inside of Gemini, this link will now show you specifically what the usage limits are. So this is for an education account. Here is the free version of Gemini. Here is the paid version of Gemini. And you can see that a lot of it, they're very, very, very similar. Where you notice differences would be things like image generation. On the free version of Gemini, you can generate 100 images a day, where the paid version, you can do 1,000 images a day. I can't imagine needing to do that many, but 100 is still incredibly generous for the free version. Probably one of the biggest differences is deep research. You can do 20 reports a day with the paid version. You can only do 5 reports per month with the free version. There is no difference, though, in things like 2.5 Flash, which is pretty much unlimited, and 2.5 Pro, it's 100 prompts per day either way. So not a big difference on that. Other differences would be like video generation. You can't do VO in the free version, but you can do VO with the paid version. So if you're looking for a little bit of a breakdown on that, plus what are the actual limits, now we do know that you can do 100 images a day for free and 100 of the advanced 2.5 Pro prompts for free, of course, unlimited of the Flash per day. All right, so that's really helpful. Next up, you can now upload audio files into the Gemini app. So basically from Gemini, you can now hit the plus button and you can upload an audio file, whether it's an MP3 or a WAV file, and Gemini can process those. On the free version, it can be up to 10 minutes in length. On the paid version, up to 3 hours in length. So I tried this out. Let me see if I can find the one I did earlier. Yep, here it is. So I did this one earlier where I uploaded a rubric, and then I uploaded an MP3 recording. And basically what I said was grade this uploaded recording of a student's explanation of the causes of the Boston Tea Party using the attached rubric and provide feedback in a friendly and helpful tone. So I took an MP3 recording of me. It was not a real student, it was just me, but I was basically giving an explanation of the causes of the Boston Tea Party. I took that recording, uploaded it to Gemini, uploaded the rubric, and then it graded my my audio, and then it gave specific feedback on that. So if for any reason you are having students record themselves, you can now take those recordings and put them into Gemini, and Gemini can process the audio from those. Again, up to 10 minutes of audio per use on the free version and 3 hours on the paid version. So curious to see how people end up using that feature, but I was excited to see that was available. Quizzes are now available for users under 18. Quizzes are not a new thing. Here is an example of me doing a quiz. If you go to Gemini and just say, generate a quiz on photosynthesis for grade 7, for example, it will generate an interactive quiz, very much like what we saw in NotebookLM. You can click on things. If you get them wrong, it tells you. If you get them right, it lets you know. When you get to the very end of the quiz, I'm just randomly clicking on these. When you get to the very end of the quiz, it then gives you a summary of how you did, and then it can also generate additional resources to support you. So here I'm all done. It's going to tell me how I did. It can create flashcards, a study guide to help me. That used to be available for 18 and above. That is now available for under 18. So students can now go to Gemini and create review quizzes for them. And then to answer the question that popped up just a moment ago from Sarah, which was, is there a way to share gems with colleagues? Yes, introducing gym sharing. So now this is rolling out. So hopefully you have access to it now. If not, soon. I do have access to it at the moment, but it may still be rolling out. I'm not sure how quickly it'll get out to everybody. But yes, now when you go into gyms in Gemini, when you create a gym, there is now a sharing button there, and you can share that gym. You can share it with specific people. You can share it with just your school. You can share it with anybody in the world. So let me see if I can find one of those examples. So here is my gym manager from Gemini. If you come over here to gyms and click explore gyms, you'll see all of the gyms you have created. And there's a little share button next to those. So like I did a science experiment generator, 2 truths and a lie game. I can just hit the share button, and then I can decide, who's allowed to view this. In this case, I said anybody with a link can view it. I can then copy that gym. And now that I've done that, I went ahead and added this in here for you guys. So for example, here is my 2 truths and a lie game. That is a gym link for that. So if I were to copy that link and go to a different account, so let me find an account that is not this account. And if I put that in, it's going to pop up that gym, and I'll just say hello to get it started. And it should launch my 2 truths and a lie educational game. So, what's a topic you want to focus on and what grade level? So now that gym is ready to run. I am really excited about this because what this means is educators can now create and share gyms across their school and actually across the world. I'm really excited to see, hopefully, giant collections of gyms getting created and shared so that people can have these amazing, powerful gyms that they can, now share with people. And hopefully we'll start to see collections of these as they develop. So excited about that. And then the very last thing I included here, just because I think it's cool, is VO was
Eric, I wanted to say
go ahead,
something
please.
about that for
Please. Yes. Go ahead. Whoop, do we have
sorry,
you?
just about the sharing of the gym. So
Yes.
my district specifically has been really wanting that functionality to come to pass because
Yes.
you can share. Sorry, I'm getting because then we can create gyms where we can put like our district's content in, our district resources in, the standards, and then
Yes.
you don't have to
Yes.
recreate that. So if you're on this call and you're a trainer like me, that's going to change the game for kind of the gyms that you can make to help your teachers with instructional supports.
Absolutely. I mean, think about being able to create a gym and upload all of your specific content for your district, your standards, your course of study, your resources, whatever the case might be. Because gyms, you can add those, files to there. You can add up to 10 files, I believe, to each gym. And then, share those gyms out, and they're just links, and basically say, hey guys, if you're looking for, all of these AI resources basically you could build your own magic school. That's basically what you could do. You can have a page with all of your own gyms, and every school district can create their own magic school. So that's the main idea behind it. And so I'm really excited about that too. Really excited to see that.
Eric, the way I understand it, any of the tools that are available in the sidebar in Google Classroom, when you drill down, any that have got that gem icon next to them, the Gemini star, those are actually gems that were created.
Those are gems. Yes, that is correct. I'll mention that in just a moment under show and tell, which I know we're going to have to make very abbreviated. So the last thing on the updates is just this is a cool blog post about how VO was used to take art and turn them into moving paintings. Check that out if you're an art person. Also, I do cover that in my session on AI for arts and music education. I have examples of taking a painting and running it through VO and bringing the painting to life, which is cool. All right. We're going to run over a little bit today. I know we always try to stay under 2 hours. We are going to run over just a little bit, but I'll try my best to move through the last portion of this as quickly as we can. If you have to go, I totally understand. But again, we're going to run over just a bit. So what we're going to do next is we're going to hit show and tell and Q&A. And show and tell is where we share any other cool things that we've come across in the last month. And then Q&A, of course, ask questions and get answers to those questions. So let's start with show and tell real quick here. All I'm going to mention in mine, I won't go through every one of these things here. Just a couple of quick things that I have shared out recently on my blog. One is every year around this time, I put out my yearly Google Docs calendar templates, because for some reason, even though we're only in September, October, of 25, there are people already planning for 26, 27. So I start getting bombarded with emails this time of year. This is a template I made years and years ago, and I updated each year for the new school year. It is basically a one-pager where you can go in and you can add items to the sides for each month, and then you can go in and color code each of those items in there so that they match up to whatever key you might be using. Here's an example of just like a demo, not a real calendar, but an example of how you could have tech meetings and PD opportunities and holidays or whatever, and have this all on a nice one-pager. A lot of schools use this. I created it for one of our own employees who needed this and just shared it out, and people love it. So there you go. Here's the one for 26, 27. And of course, you can find the previous year's ones on my blog as well, if for any reason you need those. But if you're already planning for next year, that one is available there. I already mentioned about the Brisk webinar, the Enlighten AI webinar. I did put together a post this last month on prompts. Since it was September, I thought I would do a Promptember post. And so basically over the years, I have been collecting and curating and creating so many prompts. And at the moment, I got over 700 AI prompts that I've collected or created over the last few years. And I now have put all of those into one Google document here, as well as in this blog post. If you pop open the document, it's the same thing. There's no difference between the two, but basically what you're going to find here are prompts for math, science, social studies, language arts, arts and music, career tech, special ed, ESL, admins, librarians, primary, intermediate, as well as interactive prompts. Here's that 2 truths and a lie, or 20 questions, choose your own adventure, AI debates, etc. And then more, prompts for assessment, brainstorming, differentiation, and so forth. So all of these will take you into each of those different collections there. There's over 700. You are welcome to use those prompts any way you want. If you've got staff that are a little new to AI and just need some ideas, this can be a wonderful way to get them started in using Gemini or other AI tools if they're not sure what prompts to use. So check those out. And then what you were just talking about, John. Yeah, I did a blog post and a video about the new Gemini tools inside of Google Classroom. There are 27 AI tools built inside of Google Classroom now. And yes, like you mentioned, John, any of the ones that have the little star next to them, those are actually gems that you're using. But I go through a quick video here where I explain the difference between the different types of ones, do a couple examples. You do not have to be a Google Classroom user to take advantage of these. Even though they're hosted on a page in Google Classroom, anybody who can access that page can use them. You just have to have access to Classroom. You don't have to be a Classroom user. So if your school district uses Schoology or Canvas or whatever, totally fine. You just need to have Classroom enabled so you can get to the page. And then from there, you can access these 27 free AI tools, which are really nice.
That was the thing I noticed when you're using that. Some of the tools end up putting you back into Gemini, and you have to go back to Classroom in the other tab to get back to the tools again.
Correct. That is right. All right. Other than that, a couple other quick blog posts there. Check those out if you are interested in those. And then let me see. A reminder that, of course, Stephanie has her Google group where she shares out resources, and Sarah has her newsletter. John, you probably wanted to share a little bit about the new courses that are available in the Ohio Learning Community.
I'm just really going to mention that we only have 3 currently available there, but that paraprofessionals course has about 1,200 people taking it right now. It's proved to be very popular.
Excellent.
And then instructional coaching just went back up again, and subteacher essentials. And then all the other courses that we've had them under review, they will all be released within the next month. And we will have a new deal this year. We will have $129 graduate credit available. So
Nice.
For people that are looking to relicense this year, that is about the cheapest that you're going to find out there. And we've negotiated a good deal for that. And then the other thing that I have in my is if you just check out Firefox, it has this sidebar, and you can, like I said, you can get into one of those tools live, and it basically logs you in to your account in that AI tool, and it's available to you at any time in that left sidebar.
Love it. Excellent. And under our community show and tell, we have a link to a GPT versus Gemini resource here. Awesome. We'll have to take a look at this. Looks like it's a video comparing ChatGPT to Gemini. Definitely a question that comes up a lot when I do trainings. Now, don't get me wrong. I use all of these tools. I use ChatGPT. I use Gemini. I use Claude. I use Perplexity. There are some definite reasons why I emphasize Gemini for schools that I think are some really great things that it does specifically for schools. But thank you for sharing that resource. And what else do we have here? Important NotebookLM is a great extension and can sometimes add sources that fail to load in the actual notebook. No idea why Google support recommended it. The free version lets you import 20 links at a time. I am not familiar with this extension. I'm going to have to explore that. If somebody has a link to it and wants to add that link in, that would be great. I'm not familiar with that one, so I'll be excited to poke a stick at that and see. All right. And then let's see, under Q&A, we do have a few questions. I don't know that we'll be able to have answers for all of these today. It's possible that you may need to come back to the document in the future and see if people have been able to answer these. Somebody was asking about Autocrat, saying that they love using it, but they won't sign a data privacy agreement. Are there other such mail merge tools that would? I did put this answer in. I do not know if PubliGo will do a DPA, but that's a very similar to Autocrat I have used in the past as well. It may be worth checking out. NotebookLM question, where should I share the notebook link that has the updates I've created? So I believe this was from Tracy. I think, Tracy, you created some notebooks, some NotebookLMs that have content from the meetings, from these agendas. And then wanting to know where to share the links. You can put them right in here. That's perfectly fine. And then I will be sure to include them going forward so that we can have people get easy access to those. Thank you, Tracy, for doing that. What settings should teachers select if they would like to share a notebook in LM, but they do not want students to be able to delete sources? If you share as a viewer, they can't ask questions or use tools if you give them rights as an editor. Okay, so is there an option anywhere for students to be able to make their own copy, etc.? So here's the thing. If you're using Google Classroom, when you share a notebook through Google Classroom, they are not able to delete any sources, but they can ask questions, but they can't generate with the tools. So you have to create with the tools ahead of time yourself. Like, I don't know if I still have that example that I had earlier. Let me see if I can pull that up fast enough here. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Here's the one we were looking at earlier, where I was as a student, and you can see I'm not able to use the tools. I can't create in the studio. The teacher has to create, and I can't, change. I can't get rid of sources, but I can have a conversation. So that's the way it gets shared. It's basically what would be, in essence, what we probably would call view only, meaning that you can't change the sources, you can't generate new content, but you can watch any of the videos, you can listen to the audio, you can access the quiz, you can access the flashcards. As a student, they can access anything you've created as a teacher, and they can just communicate directly here with the notebook. They can ask questions of the notebook. That's probably the mode that you want. That's how you want to be able to give that to the students, so that they're not going to change anything, but they can still benefit from it. Is there an option for them to make a copy of it? I don't think I saw anything in there for that. I don't think so. I haven't ever tried that. I don't see an option. I don't see an option to make a copy of the notebook. So at the moment, I'm not sure that they would be able to do that. Here's the instructions on how to archive users. Great. Who bought Text Help? They really didn't. It wasn't that they got bought. It's just a new company name. Basically, they merged with Into-Y, so that is correct. And they just renamed themselves Everway. So Text Help is still Text Help. They've just merged with so many other companies. Like they bought Don Johnston. Now they've merged with Into-Y. And so now they're just going by a new name, but it is still the same company, and they still have the same products like Read and Write and Equatio. All right. Do you have to create new resources every time you add a new source to NotebookLM? As in, you can't just refresh the sources. Yeah. If I go into a notebook and I generate like, an audio summary, and then later I add 5 new sources, that audio summary does not get updated. I would have to generate a new audio summary to take into account the new sources. So once those sources are generated, they become static. So no, you do have to generate a new version of the quizzes, reports, audio summaries, things like that. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry we went so far over here today, but there was just so much to cover. So let's do this. We are about 10 minutes over. Apologies for that. But hopefully it was still all valuable information. Let's do this. We're going to do a quick wrap up here, but John, Melissa, if you see anything that I missed in the chat, please look through there and let me know. I would love to address anything that we missed. But what I want to do real quick is, first of all, say thank you to everybody for hanging with us for over 2 hours here today. Couple of quick things. If you did not yet sign in for our meeting, under important links, there is a Google form there to sign in to get your certificate of attendance. Our next meeting is going to be at the tail end of October. You can always pop over to the GEG Ohio website to double check that date and make sure. Sometimes we have to make adjustments, so always double check to see the date and time for the next meeting. In between, I would encourage you to join the Google Educator Group of Ohio Google group so that you can stay up to date, communicate with people, ask questions, and stay connected. Let's see if anything got added. I don't know if anything got added to our upcoming events, but please continue to do so if you do know of other things upcoming that need to get added. And under show and tell, please continue. If you have anything else to add to the community show and tell, feel free to do that. And if you have any answers for Q&A that we haven't addressed, please go ahead and do that as well. So John, Melissa, anything that you saw that we missed?
No, I think you wrapped it up pretty good, Eric. I just wanted to also thank, we have 33 currently watching. We had a peak of 52, and that's the people that watched it live. And then I looked at last month's meeting, and we had 451 people have viewed the recording. So
absolutely
good participation. Keep the questions coming in the Google group, and invite your friends to join the Google group and become part of our community.
Thanks, John. And Melissa, anything you'd like to say as we start to wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you for now getting me obsessed with Androidify. I've already, animated it with, I use Adobe Firefly. I'll be posting about that. That is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see
that's excellent.
Just how teachers bring that level of creativity into their space, because that's always what I love to do.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you guys for joining and helping out so much today. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll see you next month at the end of October for our next meeting. Take care. Have a great month. Take care,
Have a good
everybody.
October.